Well, hello again, YouTube. AJ Shaver here, and this is an 1824 diesel, and we are going to ship this one directly up to Tony in New Hampshire. No, Connecticut, I'm sorry. And it's about a 5-hour ride, so I'm going to let my hotshot driver take that up there to him because we're just too busy to get away. And just want to do a little virtual handoff and walk around on this 1824 gas machine. So let's get the camera flipped around, and I'll show you what it's all about. All right, so this is a 2020 model. And there's a few things that have changed from 20 until 23 here. I'll go over those. They're mainly on the opposite side. But we'll start up here with the coupler. This is a standard 2-inch ball. And this is a bulldog kind of coupler. So they do a safety pin here in the back. So when you pull this out, this collar has to slide. And then that piece pops out. So when you put it on, you have to squeeze this closed and that collar comes forward. Standard cable breakaway and your 7-pin plug. I'll do the setup here in a minute, but you get the standard jack stand, and then there's also a stationary leg over here that you drop down for support on the live deck side of things. Standard gas tank here. If possible, either use premium or a non-ethanol gas in these motors. This is the 38 horsepower Kohler V-twin. It goes by like a 999 motor. It's up here on the air cleaner. It is an electric injected motor, so you can hear the fuel pump. You always get the 2 lights there, and then now it's pressurized because it's quiet. And you can always start it up. Then on this piece are your fuses. So it's like your ignition, the fuel pump, and then the big wires are for your oil cooler itself. So there's the fuse, and the oil cooler is a 30 amp. Little toolbox, some spare chains. I did just change the oil on this, so it's going to be in that colder range, so we kind of went for the 10W30. So this is the Napa oil filter number. It's a 4068, and the air filter is a 6438. So we just got all that stuff changed out there today. So I like putting the filter numbers on the outside so you kind of know what you need before you even get in there. Then we were doing a little sawing with this one, and the pump was severely underpowered and not wanting to spin, so we did some troubleshooting. Ultimately came down to it being a bad saw motor, so we changed that out. So that's today's date, the current hour meter reading, and then also put it up here next to the VIN tag, just so everybody knows. This is your oiler. You can use any bar oil in this. It is a piston pump that generates the pressure to get the oil over to the saw bar itself. As long as it has that tackifier in it, the sticky stuff, you're good to go. This is a check valve in here, so it's just not going to continually drip, but it just needs that pressure, and it kind of plunges and pumps the oil over to the saw itself. These are your saw bar bolts. They're 9/16 for the 2. The tensioners are on the other side. Your oil line here, of course, going in the top. This is an 1824, so you get the last log holder that pops out. We've got the upgraded wedge holder on this one. It was added after the fact. That's why it's bolted on. The same with the toolbox up there. That's a bolt-on addition. Full torsion axle on this, I should note. This is running a 16-inch tire with the 8 lugs on it. I'll go over the conveyor setup here in a minute too, but these are the transport bars that keep the conveyor low as it goes through town, so you're not tickling those traffic lights. Yes, it is pretty tall, but it does give you the clearance that you need. We'll go over the conveyor here in the next little segment once I get the tripod out. This is where things kind of updated for 22 and 23. They took the conveyor controls from by your left leg. So this is your forward, neutral, and reverse. The conveyor up and down, and then your speed control down there. They've moved all that up to the right side over here on the dashboard. Then they've taken this from being on an angle and actually walked it where it's 90 degrees right off the splitter chamber coming across. So this one is just your standard, you know, hold it to split it, then it goes back to neutral, and then you get your detent on the reverse. The saw oiler is here. So I like to turn this all the way down tight and then maybe just do a half a turn or a 3/4 turn on it, and then that's plenty of oil going out to it. So we've got the cut guide is here. It's just a little snowplow looking whip that kind of comes down, and I thought I had a tape measure in my pocket, but maybe put it down somewhere. But I did just measure it. So from the saw tip to here is your 16-inch increment for your saw tension. This is a 7/16 nut, and again, these are 9/16. And you want to keep this where you can just about pull a full tooth right out of the bar. I might put another extra little turn on that one. I do like running these tight. There's a lot of power and torque on that saw bar. One thing to be cautious of, you can infeed the piece of wood if that bar is down. So it is a pucker moment. I'm telling you, you're going to do it at some point. Just kind of be aware of it. We'll cut up some rounds here too in a minute, but just want to kind of go over a couple of things. Traditional oil tank on these, I believe it's just your regular AW32 is what goes in these. We're sitting a little bit downhill, but that's the oil fill gauge. There's also a little temperature piece in there as well if the camera wants to focus on it. Not sure, but it is a little bit on the cold side today. All right, grease fittings. I love me some good grease fittings. So we just greased this one at the shop. So your front roller nose, either side. Your big bearings here on the live deck, both sides, top and bottom of the cylinder. Again, second set of bearings. Then there's a sneaky one back here behind the roller chain. And then over on the opposite side, there's also a bearing, which you can see from the engine side. And then you get a grease fitting there on the bottom of the saw bar. And on the other end, the clamp arm does not have one, but the twist on the conveyor, because this is a side-to-side pivot, there's a set of grease fittings down there. The roller bearing on the bottom, as well as the top on both sides. There you go. And again, grease down on this side for the pivot. There's the bottom of the saw cylinder, that gets the grease. And then there's that bearing I was trying to show you before. Outside of that, I think that's about it. I always like to hang the key over top of the dipstick, just so that way you can check the oil every time you go to start the unit. Just a nice little safety precautionary piece. So, all right, let me get the camera set into the tripod. We'll get things warmed up, and then we'll lower the conveyor and the live deck. All right, so we have it. The manual hand crank is down. We secured the secondary leg that just helps the whole unit from tipping in if you get a big load on the live deck, so nothing kind of settles out overnight. There's a big 3/4 inch pin up here that keeps the live deck in. I like to bring it down. There's a second set of holes here, and that allows you to store the pin so you always know where it's at. On the conveyor side, move the safety pin here. That bar comes down. I like putting the pin back just so you know where everything is. There's another set of bars over here. I had a bungee cord on there for keeping things from rattling. There's a big T up here. You pull this out. That allows the unit to swing. And that should be about the right spot for it. You do have an auxiliary set of start and stop controls over here on the panel. You do not have a throttle, but we're just a little bit above throttle, so it should be able to start pretty easy. When you set the live deck down, there's multiple holes here in each leg that you can kind of set this up. You want to try and run everything as flat and level as possible. I like it level front to back and level side to side. It just helps putting the wood up on it. And then if needed, you can flip these around. But everything, you know, all 5 feet should be on the same plane. Then the conveyor. Not going to try and talk over the engine. Again, with this being an 1824 series, the two main things that you get are the last log holder that pops up to kind of keep that big piece on there so you don't have to have your hand on it. And then 2, you get the side-to-side pivot on the conveyor, so I'll go ahead and show you that. All right, so here's what I was talking about with that stationary leg. You can use the jack to kind of find the right hole on it. There's a couple different options for up and down. I like to try to keep all of these guys so there's not any gap underneath one foot to the next. Nice level working area so nothing's rolling in on its own. It's waiting for the controls there. The side-to-side pivot and all the little hydraulics there. This is that T piece that I pulled out to move the stationary leg on the conveyor. And we have the 8-way in this. I'll let things warm up a little bit and run this piece of ash through it. These are just the little pieces that we were using with the new saw motor, and we put that in just to make some test cuts over at the garage before we came out here into the cold. With these wedges, it's a quick removal system, so when you drop it all the way down, it kind of pulls a little piece out of the bottom. So all you have to do is grab this and you can pick it straight up and then drop in the other wedge. Just with the 8-way, it's a little awkward, but if you can just lift them right up and out and drop them in. There is a hole right on top of the wedge, so if you want to put like a D-ring or a chain hook in it, just for easy up and down, that's how you change the wedge out on these as well. Everything is designed to be run at full throttle. Take it all the way up. Don't try and save any fuel, because if you don't have the pressure, you won't have the performance. So I might have rushed the start up there a little bit, and the oil's still kind of cold, but you get the idea. And again, this is just to kind of walk a customer around his new piece of equipment, because I won't be there in person to go over this stuff. And maybe you're going to buy one of these too, so it's just kind of a quick walk around video. A lot of the grease fittings, even on the new ones, hold about true to location. Any of the small roller chain is like a 60 size chain. I like using like a roller chain lubricant. Again, it's got like that tackifier in it. We use the same thing for my disc cleaner. And I don't usually do the live deck chain, but as far as like the small little chains that run the live deck in, and then there's a little bicycle chain or roller chain that works the live deck or the in-feed chain right off the motor. I'll spray those two down pretty regular. I like greasing everything about every 10 hours on the hour meter. That way it's kind of a set, even, idiot proof. And kind of going, well, 8 hours plus 8 hours. And the last time I did something, an even 10 is the easiest way of doing it. And the small engines with an oil filter, about 50 hours is about what I do on maintenance on the engines. All the oil viscosities are written down on the tap or on the sticker there by the motor, and I showed you what the Napa filter numbers are for everything. So if there's anything we can ever get you a sales quote on, we are a full dealer with our own margins to kind of play with pricing. So we've gotten a couple phone calls where guys are like, oh, well, we watch all your videos, but we still called the manufacturer. Please don't do that. If you enjoy watching the videos, let me get you a price on something. And the number to call is 833-SPLITTER. That's 833-775-4887. I will also put my cell phone number down below there. You can call me or text me. The email address is sales@shaverequipment.com. We do offer financing. If you jump over to the website, which is just shaverequipment.com, you'll see the finance tab in the upper right-hand corner. It's a real easy application. It's kind of done up as a business format. You can fill out the business information, the owner information, the address, the amount that you want. If it's just a personal thing for working around the farmstead or the homestead, enter your personal information twice and then the amount that you want. Click send, and somebody from the ACG team will be in contact with you shortly. We appreciate any opportunities that we can earn. This is just a marketing kind of thing that we do with YouTube and Facebook. So if you have any questions, call us, email me. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks even more for the view count. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We're always working hard to be lazy. We'll see you next time.